One, live.
Good evening, Aspen, and good evening, attendees in the vaunted city chamber councils. Where we are here, you're watching live election coverage. Technically, I think we're calling this the election night rodeo tonight.
The rodeo, not the bonanza.
Last time was a bonanza, and this is becoming almost like a habit-forming thing we're doing.
It's kind of cool. I mean, I think people are going to start to believe we're friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, you and I know the truth, so that's what really matters.
That's all that matters.
But I think this is a really exciting election. There's some big issues, and, with nothing else on the national ticket or the state ticket, and we're just focusing on Aspen, I think I think people are excited about it, and there's a lot at stake here.
Well, first of all, the mayoral election, this is going to be the third time in Aspen history that we have a female mayor. First female mayor was Eve Homeyer,
Yep.
then Rachel Richards,
Yep.
and then
Helen Clancy.
Helen Clandrew, thank you.
Yeah.
And Rachel Richards is potentially going to be our next mayor. So that's an exciting time. 2 council seats, 6 people fighting for them.
Yeah, and 2 different opinions about the entrance to Aspen on top of everything else. You and I talked about it a little bit before the cameras were rolling, and one thing I find really interesting about this election is when you look at the lists of the supporters on, especially the 2 referendums for the entrance to Aspen, you see a lot of people who don't seem like natural political allies on both sides of that. So it doesn't feel at all like a party line election on either of those issues, and it's a little throwback to the community where we are voting with people we don't usually agree with on the national issues or the state issues, and so I just think that's really cool.
Oh my God, when I see those endorsement lists, I pore over those things. I look at those names, I think, oh, well, this guy's voting for that woman's voting for this. How do I align with them? I know these people. What are they thinking? I'm the same way as you. I really analyze those endorsement lists.
I think that's money well spent on those ads with the lists of supporters, and it's always surprising and interesting.
Oh my gosh, it's an enigma sometimes when you find yourself in the community aligning with someone that you really dislike and disagree with on so many levels, and then you're like, wow, this guy's on the same trip as me with this issue.
We can shake hands and trade hugs on some of those issues.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that might be interesting to talk about with some of our guests tonight, and it seems to be a trend that is, I don't know if I like it or not, but it seems like a lot of money was spent on campaigns in this little local hometown election.
Well, the little local hometown election ship sailed, and it got about halfway out into the bay, hit the reef, capsized, dumped all the cargo, killed all the passengers, and now it's a tourist attraction.
It is. But when you think about, I think one of the campaigns at least spent $250,000, and if this election is decided by 2,500 votes, you can do the math to see how much that costs per vote.
Well, I'm not an accountant, but you can do the math, and let's get on with our first interview.
Let's do that.
What do you say?
Let's do it.
I say we bring up Aspen Daily News columnist Beth Brandon and Annalise Gruder. Please take the hot seat. Seats, plural. Right there. Oh, thank you.
Why? Are we
We all have a copy.
Are we giving out gifts here? Oh.
Yes, it's olive branch, peace offering. Oh, well, thank you.
Oh, where's mine? I think maybe you forgot.
I only had one.
Oh, okay.
I ordered this specially from him earlier today.
When we were putting together this election night rodeo, the first people that came into my mind to have interview with Roger were Annalise Gruder and Beth Brandon, who both wrote columns contrary to your point of view, you wrote a column about the soul of Aspen, just some galactic whining as usual about kind of the soul of Aspen being gone. And Annalise countered with,
That's an oversimplification, by
it
the way.
is, and I'm good at that. The Annalise came back with a column that basically said, don't Roger that. And then Beth came back with a column that was played off the movie The Goonies, saying like, we don't give up. And ladies, Roger Merle, let him have it.
I mean, I think there's something to be said tying into what you two were discussing opening this, that iterating on conversations is important. I think that's something that this valley does a little too well sometimes. But I really loved the way that Roger described it. I just feel like we have to think about ways to keep trends from being permanent. And so that's why in mine, I couldn't resist the wordplay of your name, but it was, okay, yes, things are happening, but it's not permanent and we can't let it be permanent.
I found your analogies cringeworthy. Beth, what did you think?
Well, and I think I should note that I did actually loved your column, Roger, and agreed with you, but then I took a pot shot and made fun of your age. For effect, I am a humorist, so I just need it to be noted that I did agree with you, but like, we gotta make some lemonade, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, well, I
I'm
agree.
definitely not retiring anytime soon unless I get an amazing scratch off. So you have to be in the community and make the community yours, and how do you want it to look? Which is what I wanted to bring up, and bring up the positive things that are happening, like my friends and I doing stand-up comedy on March 27th at the W Aspen.
Shameless plug.
Well, I'm inviting
Love it.
actually you and her to all get out of the house at 8 p.m. I put all the lights on in my house so I could stay awake for right now. So you can do it too. Come to a comedy show and enjoy
I
seeing
would
what
love
Aspen
that.
looks like at night.
I will see you there.
See you
Excellent
there.
point,
Perfect.
Beth. Which brings me, did you go to soup school?
No, I
Take that as a no.
No, I didn't go to soup school. They changed the date. I had it on my calendar in January.
Okay, I'll take that as a no. Have you hiked the bowl this year?
No, because I can't breathe.
Okay.
I can't breathe.
Have you gone to the Belly Up this year?
Yes,
Okay, for
for a fundraiser for Action. in Africa.
fail, actual concert would be the right answer. So, which leads to my point that Beth was trying to make. You have to go out and create community instead of just whine about the loss of it.
So is this an intervention?
Yes. Yeah. She just invited you to a comedy show. It is a little bit. But anyway,
Okay.
the girls and I,
The women.
the women and I,
Thank
True.
we got together and we bought you a gift.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd like you to open this.
Well, I hate to tear apart this beautiful wrapping job. It's prune juice.
That helps with constipation, can lead to incontinence. So this is a warning, but
He's
But you
qu-
could mix it with you can make a cocktail out of it,
You,
for the next
you
time.
two are sounding like the experts here. I'm just saying.
thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Ladies, I'd like to really thank you for coming into the election night. Is there any thoughts you'd like to talk about on the way you voted, or thoughts, or the overall, or how you're feeling about the election night, or it being over, or?
I'm looking forward to seeing some results and seeing how things turn out, because I do think it was, between straight shot and S curves, that's always seems to be a very big dividing point for people. But I think most of all, we just want to see some forward progress. So I'm curious to see how that's going to land.
Annalise?
Yeah, well, so I have to admit that my entire life, when I was a kid, and then every single time I've moved back to this valley, I live mid-valley. I don't get a say in
Yeah.
tonight's election. So
Nor does Lower or me either. And so,
I-
I mean, that's,
I have looked at the different things that all the candidates have written, and I agree with some of the positions that we have the fortune to have a lot of good choices on the table for the people who did get to file ballots today. But I do think that it's about actually listening to each other and taking action, not just iterating on concerns. Because it's great that our community talks about things and does bridge gaps. We do find ourselves aligning in unexpected ways, but sometimes we talk too much and we need to just do things.
so we really do need a gap to bridge in order to bring the community together, is what you're saying. And we've got it over Castle Creek.
That's the point.
I was waiting for that.
Sorry.
That's a
Ladies, thank you so much for coming
Thank you for
on.
having us on.
It's good to see you guys.
point.
And
Yeah.
really, we
Keep
look
up the
forward
good work.
to seeing your next missives in the Aspen Daily News
And you know, just,
and your live comedy stand-up,
Yeah.
which will be front row, me and Raj.
Yep. Your name's on the list, so.
I'll sit in the back.
Good.
and you do know that most of the people watching this think we all have our desks right next to each other at the
Yes.
Aspen Daily News, right?
They're like, talk to Roger.
They don't-
Tell him.
yeah.
I'm like,
They don't realize we sit at a conference table in there, so.
we sit at home and push send from home.
Exactly.
Anyways, it's wonderful to see you guys. Thank you for showing up
Thanks for
And-
having us on.
Thanks for having us.
and appreciate all you do for the community.
Yeah, thanks, ladies. Okay, that was our first interview with Aspen Daily News fellow columnists.
Columnists, what do you
And,
know? It's like a big club.
Let's cut, then we got our next guests on here. Let's get Megan and Robert Ruby.
Okay,
Sound good?
all right.
Let's do it.
How long's the break?
Good question.
Okay, we'll be back whenever.
Okay,
Is the break over?
thanks, Beth. Thanks, Annalise.
I think we're all good.
We need more boisterous laughter from the,
Nervous. We need a laugh track. Yeah. This is a cool book.
okay, how you guys doing?
Good, how about you?
Good, good.
Are we on? No.
No, I think we're, I'm not sure, usually Andora's head will pop up from behind there.
It's gonna be easy. Stay right with your own. I'm gonna count her in and count you in. This is just music and it's
Okay, good, good. Yeah, we're ready.
coming back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And we're back.
And we are back. You are watching,
Live.
you're watching
The
live
election
Grassroots
rodeo.
TV, the election rodeo.
Roundup. Whatever.
It's a no, not whatever. This is a rodeo.
Okay.
And our next guests are the Ruby husband and wife, Robert and Megan Ruby.
And the family name is
The family
Ruby
name,
Park.
let's talk about the family name Ruby.
So we're very fortunate to be third generation participants here in Aspen. So Ruby Park is the namesake of my grandfather. It was one of the very first public land efforts that was done. I actually, as part of this campaign, went and looked up in the records the date in which that transaction happened. It was my grandfather, a Pfister, and a public trust entered into, I think the whole block was sold for $22,500 on
Wow, fascinating.
July 20th, 1962.
Yeah.
So,
And then Robert, where did you grow up? What's your kind of background and your?
I grew up splitting time between Houston, Texas, and Aspen. And Megan and I actually met here in 1997. She was working at the Ritz, which is now the St. Regis. And we got married here in the Episcopal Church in 2000. And have recently moved back full-time.
All right.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank
What a great story.
Well, before I knew you in this story, I made the association with the name, and I realized I didn't know you from going to school, but then I also realized you're probably in elementary school when I graduated high school, so.
No.
That's,
Well, you're aging better than me.
And Roger would point out that his father is
Oh, yeah.
is memorialized in a sculpture in Ruby Park.
Ruby Park.
So you guys have that
very proud of that,
profound
yeah.
kind of family
Yeah.
Mayoral Ruby connection.
That's cool.
And actually, my grandmother's in the Hall of Fame as well.
All right.
And my father didn't, he graduated from Aspen High in '63, so.
Okay.
And my claim to fame of meeting Megan was I almost flooded your guys' house through your irrigation ditch on 7th and
Grass
Smuggler,
cuttings.
where I was weed whacking, clearing a field there, and I was like, wow, I'm such a good weed whacker. Look at all this grass going into the ditch and just flowing away that I don't have to rake up. And then I saw the city four-wheeler pull up, Jose, with his pitchfork, and digging out the ditch, and I noticed, oh, wow, look, 7th Street is entirely flooded all by my hand, and then Megan came out, distressed, a damsel in distress, and I was like, it's my fault, it's my fault. And we met there, and then I reintroduced myself to you at Clark's Market, and so I fully admit I apologized for almost flooding your house.
No, it was so
And that led to here, so.
And that led to here, which
here we
incidentally,
are.
you guys live, which I would consider the blast zone of the West End sneak, 7th and Smuggler. What is that like, living on that corner?
Well, it wasn't that bad 10 years ago. It got really bad the last probably 3 or 4 years.
Probably after COVID, we saw a significant increase in the amount of traffic that runs by our house. And that really isn't our major concern in this process. It actually, we feel that we are extraordinarily lucky to live where we do and wouldn't change it in 100 years. But it does start getting your attention on why we are experiencing what we're experiencing from 4 to 6 every day. And gets you thinking about how you might make that better.
So you, I believe, have been pretty vocal supporters of referendum two.
Yes.
We both, from an activity standpoint, just boots on the ground, between the two of us, I think we've knocked on 600 doors. And financially, we've done everything that we can to make sure that our position is clearly articulated. That's not to say that the other side's position is not as valid, but we just wanted to make sure that we were sending a clear message.
Yeah, you were for the record, you guys were pretty big donors to referendum two.
We were.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're motivated. You feel, would you say more strongly about this than the average Aspen citizen, or is this,
I don't know. I think it depends on how you look at it. You know, I rank the traffic in the West End probably the 4th largest issue associated with what we're trying to solve here. And I would say the Roaring Fork community is probably the most important, you know, the people who come and serve the community every day from down valley. I think safety concerns are a huge concern. And so, you know, what's going on in the West End is 4th or 5th on the list.
I agree with you with the community aspect of this and how we need to look at this valley as one community. And this is a strange situation with this entrance to Aspen, where Mick Ireland projected it might be decided by 2,500 voters, and yet every day tens of thousands of our friends and family and people we know are dealing with this. So I hope that we all are cognizant of that, and it seems like you guys are, and I applaud your work in that regard.
And my view is, no matter what happens tonight, we're probably going to embark upon a process that includes reopening an EIS. I'd be surprised if we didn't. You know, I'd put a probability of 80% that a new EIS, and that's going to be another opportunity to make sure that the voices of the entire Valley are heard, not just the 2,500 people who participated this evening.
And I gotta say, driving home tonight, before coming here, I didn't do the West End sneak because I
Because you
know.
need to see the rubies tonight.
Thank you, yeah. And I was like, I'll just be aware of, respectful of the people in your community who you know and where you're going and what your actions are. And then oddly enough, at Clark's, coincidentally, I saw John Schumacher, who lives on the corner of 8th and Smuggler, who I've been the Schumacher's lawn guy for the past, 30 years plus. And so I'm at that corner. I grew up on the corner of 8th and North. So I hold that area of the West End very sacred. So the West End sneak and the traffic there, I'm very troubled by it. And just for the record, so you guys know, because there is a faction of people that are like, it's a free road and this is America and we can drive wherever you want and do whatever we want. Well, have some consideration for your neighbors and the people that live there.
I
That's
think,
kinda
though,
my
that,
thought.
that as we talk about that, we do need to remember there are other people who would be significantly impacted to the extent that another bridge was constructed. And so just in terms of, say, the West Smuggler is sacred, I think we need to recognize a lot of other people think that this is going to negatively impact their sacred space. So
Oh,
I don't,
man, I dig your empathy.
so
I really dig that. Good stuff.
I don't think that is lost on, it is not lost on me.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that we've realized over the last 3 or 4 years, there's always traffic, but it's just gotten out of control, is that it's really people commuting. It's not tourists, not at all. It's commuters who are bringing in their equipment, and it's a real problem as far as just not having the infrastructure to handle the growth of Aspen at this time.
Yeah, it's the white truck brigade, I call it. And I have 2 white trucks.
Yeah.
One in the winter, one in the summer. I'm a mobile service provider, so I fall into that category that you speak of, and so I can.
Well, we better get moving on. We've got a lot of people waiting to come in.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for the opportunity,
It
guys.
was a really pleasure to hear your backstory and to hear your take, and thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Okay, Roger, what do you say we cut to a break and then we'll take our next interview? Let's get Dwayne Romero on here.
Is
What do you say?
Dwayne Romero even here? I can't see him
Yeah,
out
let's
there.
get Dwayne Romero on here.
Okay, let's get Dwayne
Okay?
next, yeah.
We'll
that'd
take
be
a
great.
quick break and we'll be right back with Dwayne Romero. Good, how you doing?
How's it going? They're right here.
Yeah, put the hat on.
Can I bend the bill?
Dude, isn't that a great
It's a
flex?
great- it's a great-
Yeah, it's
that's
infinite fit.
Great, can I- Cat.
Wait, do you remember any of my coverage? I don't remember my coverage.
Totally remember your coverage. You hated me. What?
I don't have an opinion when I.
Sure.
What the hell?
We're gonna go 3 at a time.
We're all retired.
We're all retired. Can we do 3? Got the camera on it? Will it fit? Camera.
I think she said just 2. Okay.
It'll go faster, right? Everyone wants this thing to roll over.
Thank you. We are live on Grassroots TV. You are watching election night coverage. This is the election night rodeo. And our next guests are Dwayne Romero, Carolyn Zachariasen, and Steve Skadron. We have a trifecta of guests. We are shamelessly wearing these
Romero Group is what that's called.
foolish-looking RG hats that are flex fit adjustable, but hey, we'll do anything for money, won't we?
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
That's
Which
right.
is- Which is funny because, have you ever
Thank
gotten
you.
paid to write a column?
No.
Neither have I.
Right? See, I gave you something there.
Let's,
That's not true. We paid you.
Oh, yeah, you did.
$25.
Speaking the mic.
It didn't seem like it.
Dude, this is
thank
good. This
you.
is
Carolyn
good.
Zachariasen, it is such an honor to have you on this show live. For me personally, because I hold you in a very high regard. First of all, journalistically,
What did you pay him?
and secondly, because I think you're one of the people in Aspen who actually knows like where the bodies are buried.
Ah, yes.
Politically, you and Rick Carroll have pretty much seen it all when the stories start flying and the tones are hushed. You got the good stuff, man.
You were a brown
I
nose.
don't remember any of it now.
That's right. That's what she said. She
Dude.
couldn't.
Well, let's not forget our other guests, Steve Skadron and Dwayne Romero.
Whatever.
Carolyn, you're the greatest, and so are you two. So
Sorta.
we're really glad to have you all here. And I'll kick it off. I saw Dwayne's name on the new group that is coming together to put together solutions for the entrance to Aspen. And this group, I believe, was formed about a week before the election.
Very interesting timing of the consortium, by the way. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna suppose that you think that nothing will be decided in this election.
That's, yeah.
And I'll ask you, and then we'll let
Well,
Carolyn and
think about it. The odds are, right? How has it been? 50 years we've been kind of poking at this thing. So the odds are that not much will happen, and especially if we're taking more time for, consideration of past options or even current options. That citizens group that's coming together is just recently formed, and it comes off the heels of, I believe, some of the other citizen work off the airport. Folks like John Bennett and George Newman.
It's an
and
all-star roster.
Crystal.
All-star.
Right? It's a good group. Bill Kane's in there. And it's not so much favoring which referendum to vote for or which candidate to vote for.
Well, obviously not, because you guys are gonna be talking about this after the
We hope,
referendum
right?
and the
We hope,
votes are
and
counted.
frankly, it's just in its infancy, and you would hope that there's going to be a bit of a groundswell of support and participation, and it's going to be one of these, as was said earlier, kind of get stuff done is the overarching attitude, and it's not just bridges and it's not just open space, but it's more about how to reduce and get cars off of the highway. And everyone's been talking about just the entrance to Aspen and maybe the Brush Creek traffic. Anyone in the room here tonight who's been traveling and maybe commuting on a regular basis from out the valley, the congestion of cars, it's all the way back to
It's terrible.
Mid-Valley.
It's as bad as I've ever seen it.
Catch every light every morning. Go look at every light and look at the queue of cars. So it's
All the way to Glenwood.
all the way to Glenwood. And remember, Glenwood built a second bridge there. Remember the talk and the rhetoric was, it's going to help congestion.
Armageddon.
It's going to take cars off the road. It didn't. What I'm saying is that's a great little example of, yes, we need a second bridge or we need to improve our existing bridge. That's great. But we also need right here, right now, to get more cars off the road, get more people into public transit, however that behaves. RAFTA, BRT, maybe some last mile, first mile type of shuttles, but clearly we got to do something now. It's red light for a lot of folks. It's not just a kind of a conversation and a debate.
Yeah,
And I know
Carolyn, you
Steve's
better
on.
jump in, or you're not going to get to talk.
Me and Steve are having a side
I
conversation.
saw that.
First
Right,
thing
I saw that
I'll say
too.
I remember him distinctly saying, I'm not dealing with the entrance to Aspen. As the mayor of the city of Aspen, I'm gonna try to come up with other solutions, that first and last mile.
Last mile.
So you could be either part of the solution or the problem, I'm not sure, if you go back in time.
Hi, Steve.
I want to say, I'm,
It's a very unsolvable issue, really.
this issue about, we used to make the argument, you remember
This committee grows out of what we started in the mobility lab. You might remember, the Aspen Mobility Lab. And my council initiated a program to do exactly what Dwayne referred to, reduce the amount of traffic on the road. You might have saw Andy Stone's piece the other day. He
Love
said,
that.
which was, and he said, nobody's discussed this. We spent 3 years on it and $500,000 of public money. It was called we created the Mobility Lab. I made the argument, Carolyn's referring to, that if you view our problem through the lens of not enough capacity, it leads you to a build more solution, more lanes and more parking garages. As Dwayne alluded to, we've seen this across Colorado. More infrastructure leads to more traffic. I made the argument that if you view our problem through the lens of too many cars, it leads you to a reduce the number of cars solution. Then we set out, and I made the claim, I stood over those years, and I made the arguments in my campaigns and at the council table, that I stand by the S-curves, the historic entrance, for a whole host of reasons. And I believe Aspen, as a progressive community, would embrace the notion of alternative transit, because it prioritizes in the Aspen Area Community Plan that we're a community that wants to be bicycle and pedestrian oriented, and we move to a program with less reliance on single occupancy vehicles. So my council created a strategy to do exactly that, to deliver the principles of the Aspen Area Community Plan, and that are those things: reduce reliance on single occupancy vehicles and be bicycle and pedestrian oriented.
So I agree with that. I mean, I think most people would agree that too many cars on the road is the problem. And Steve and I talked about this a little bit recently, but I think when we start to just look at cars, then we're narrowing our solutions to mass transit, when really we got to look at the reason why all the cars are coming to town. And I mean, I don't know, it's not popular, but we can't be so popular. I mean, we've outgrown this little town, and
You're not popular.
I'm not popular either, but we have too many people in this town, and so we have to look at solutions like, do we really need to use government funds to market this place? Do we really have to say yes to every event that comes into town and applies for a permit? Do we have to approve every development? I mean, those are the harder questions, but it seems like we say yes to everything, and then we complain about the traffic. So the way I look at the traffic solution right now is, I mean, it's the lesser of two evils, or the least of several evils that we're looking at.
Has anyone brought up the G word, gondola?
Oh, yeah,
Tony has.
The gondola?
Yeah.
Tony, she was saying,
No.
to her credit, she's been talking gondola for 2 decades.
Yeah.
She was
Lighten
talking
her-
about it in our '07 election when Steve and I ran.
Lightner Palma is right down the road.
And interesting enough, it's becoming more, I mean, people are talking about it now.
Yeah.
It used to seem ridiculous 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's starting to all of a sudden
It makes a little bit of
kind
sense.
of make some sense.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for a gondola like you do for the bus. There's one every 5 seconds, so.
Can you imagine that gondola just going by, traffic empty? Yeah, I don't know. There's
you
a
know,
part of me,
we're-
I gotta say, I'm a huge skeptic of these alternate transportation solutions. Why? Because I have 4 cars and an e-bike, and I just don't see myself. I'm sorry, call me old-fashioned, call me a caveman. I am a very skeptical about self-driving cars, gondolas, ride-share disruptive business models. I don't know, maybe I'm,
Something's got to give, though, right? Something's got to give. Even if he's decided to start saying no today, what is it? 300,000 square feet of to-be-built development there at South Aspen, right? So, the Gorsuch House and the Lift One Lodge, that's 300,000 square feet of lodging and commercial. There's almost 300 residential units in Lumberyard.
Yeah.
Obviously, to be built. There's a new airport renovation that's going to take some amount of impact of construction traffic. Then there are things in the Mid-Valley, Tree Farm and Willistown Center, and go further down to Glenwood and witness the West Glenwood. What I'm trying to say is...
all the new
those
hotels
scale-
that you're building, the new hotels in Elgin are bringing more ski traffic in the morning.
So I say all that to say, it's like we can complain about which option is good or bad or otherwise, but there's got to be some level of urgency, some level of focus on tactical, and the lab was a really good reference point that Steve described. You know, that was a test, and that was an effort, that was a try, and we learned from a lot of that. So there's a lot to be applied from that, but we're going to have to try a bunch of different things. The bridges won't be built tomorrow.
No. Well, let's circle back and just, I'd like to hear from all three of you individually on this. However the vote comes out tonight, whether referendum 1 passes, 2 passes, they both fail, one or the other, however the vote comes out, is that going to limit us in any way? Or is still everything on the table after this vote tonight?
Limit meaning what, Roger?
Well, limit, like it would eliminate some possibilities for other solutions. Like,
It's going to be binding.
like just, for example, if Ref 2 passes, does that eliminate stuff from the table that you
Not at
guys
all.
would be talking about?
Not at all. I think so. I don't think there's anything
Yeah,
that's
no,
taken
there's a
off the
part of
table.
me that thinks like, there have been so many votes that have been so non-binding. What makes this vote any more binding than any of the rest?
Right.
Well, and then if-
Cynicism
I mean, call
won,
me a
the
pessimist,
rest of
like
us
I
zero,
said to
right.
the.
And then if this one
alternate.
isn't binding, then why ever have a vote? We're stuck.
Well, I think what
Straight
happens
shot.
in Aspen is we suffer from acute democracy.
It is cute.
Hyper democracy, where we elect officials, they decide, we don't like what they decide, we petition, and then we go again. And what it does is it dilutes the overall end decision. And it makes the end process quiet on the set, and it makes the process more contentious. And I think we end up with weaker decisions and more confusing ballot issues.
Right.
I think it makes everything more convoluted.
Carolyn, you look like you're dying to say something.
We've got also a new population here who doesn't have the same history as others do. So it's all new to them, the argument. And so you have to, hear that out. I mean, I was a rookie editor in 1990. I was a rookie reporter in 95, 96, 97, when the Record of Decision came out in 98. And we've been covering this for a long time. And it just is a circular conversation. It's a circular conversation, constantly.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, there is that. We have to start over as a population churns.
Right.
Yeah.
To re-educate,
Which-
re-engage.
Which is why I have to make reference to the AACP, because that's one document that's been consistent over time. And it seems to me that leadership should subscribe to the principles in the AACP.
Amen.
And if in fact those priorities are no longer
Valid or
Yeah,
true,
valid.
yeah, or accurate.
Let's change the AACP. Let's have candidates run on platforms with a vision of what the community should be. Set the priorities and write the laws that deliver those priorities. And if that is a 4-lane straight shot with parking garages, let's get it. Let's do that. But I haven't seen this community claim it wants to be something other than what the AACP says.
Well, that's a great point. There just hasn't been much discussion about the Aspen Area Community Plan that in recent memory.
Yeah, it doesn't-
That-
right, it
When you
does-
mentioned it, I thought, oh, yeah, we do have that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a business that proclaims this mission statement and does something entirely different. We
Lorenzo,
have a
let's-
PhD in mixed messaging. I really firmly believe that.
Yeah,
We
let's talk-
say one thing and do the other, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, Lorenzo, let's talk about that for a minute, because I don't, one lesson I learned, I served 12 years, for those who don't know me, I served 12 years in Salem. I won 5 consecutive elections, and Jim True will tell you.
That's right.
That's an impressive record.
Help me, get appointed,
Dwayne and I,
served, 6 years together.
and I based everything I did on the AACP, and then wrote the laws that delivered these priorities. But when I left council, I left wondering kind of about the soul of the community, and to talk about ourselves as being progressive in this. But I'm not sure we are. I don't know that we have the wherewithal anymore here to deliver the kind of place that a previous generation embraced. It created
That's what I'm always whining about.
You whine about everything.
I do,
Constantly.
but especially about
which
that.
is fine.
There's a lot to whine about.
Indeed.
There is.
Which is
Pass the
fine.
cup.
I want to say, which is fine. I'm not saying this is, Aspen's ruined, we have to go back, but it's frustrating to claim we're this kind of place when in fact we're that kind of place.
That's a very astute observation. I think that's very accurate too.
That's the frustration. And with this, I'll reference this mobility lab because the committee that's gotten together, and I'll join the committee while we're hosting the meetings at CMC, the Aspen campus, it really grew out of the Aspen Community Forum that I restarted along with Crystal at the Institute, and I think actually I chatted with Kitty Boone at the time, Lorenzo.
Right.
Big fan.
And it was a program John Bennett had started in the 90s. And I asked if we could initiate this community conversation around transportation. And we spent 18 months with 30 community members discussing what would become a values-based transportation program. And out of that, that was the basis for this mobility laboratory. That was a 3-month experiment where we would introduce what the future of transportation looked like to the community. And there were 3 components to that. It was essentially a fully integrated, meaning a number of different transportation modes would be introduced through a community-wide program, and at the time, through a community, meaning all parts of the community would be included, and it was data-driven. It was really a data program that the leadership could have turned over to the next group of leadership to say, here's what works and here's what doesn't. So that's become now, this group is kind of reforming to return to this kind of values-based transportation initiative.
I love the idea. I think it's
I'm really looking forward to
Yeah.
And
how this.
the audience is now much larger, right? The participants are much larger. That was, right? So we've got folks up and down the valley
You
now.
referenced the valley. I spend some time in Carbondale now. My job takes me there, and I see our entrance issue is really frustrating, but it's equally as bad at Willits
Yeah.
and the 133 section into Carbondale, and as Carolyn said, coming into Glenwood as well.
Yeah, it's
in both directions.
valley-wide.
So it's not a
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
Aspen issue alone.
so other than that, it's been a great evening.
yeah.
Well, thanks you guys for coming in. This has been a really fascinating discussion, and I really look forward to the new
Bring
consortium.
that up. Yeah.
Carolyn, do you have anything to kind of just wrap this up, being the awesome former journalist?
Nope,
You gotta be happy that you're not working in the paper
I am,
business anymore.
right now. Well, I miss it. I do miss it.
You do, but really,
But-
do you? Honestly, I was thinking
miss
about
you.
this. I'm like,
Not after what Roger and I went through,
grill me.
you know.
It was brutal.
That was brutal.
Yeah, she would grill us.
Isn't it true that?
I remember,
Anyways.
but you have to be, you
Well, the
look,
fact that these two are sitting next to me and that, you
yeah.
know,
Right,
that's,
screaming about it, that's right.
Carolyn was fair.
I'm looking forward to taking this hat off. It's kind of itchy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you guys for coming in.
I'd like to thank everyone for watching the Election Night Rodeo here on Grassroots Live Election Night coverage. I'd like to thank John Ward of A&B Bank for
Yes,
sponsoring
yes,
this.
the whole
The
night.
mighty John Ward.
Yes,
And, yeah, we'd like to get our next interview, Lucy Peterson from the Aspen Daily News. We'll take a quick. Yeah. Lucy, how are you doing?
I'm good. It feels weird to sit here. I'm always in a corner over
So
there.
far away.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
it's really good to see you, Lucy.
Yeah, you too, guys.
I'm a big fan of your writing in the Aspen Daily News. And as a columnist, I kind of marvel at like how you can write so voluminously, so many articles. And us as columnists, we write one thing once a week and you just churn it out. How many articles do you write a week?
It depends on the week. Sorry, I'm making sure the folks are now. It depends on the week, mostly once a day. Sometimes more, especially during election season, more. So, yeah,
That'd be like writing a column a day.
Yeah.
you guys should give it a shot.
Oh, my gosh. So you spent a lot of time on the ground during this election, and you've talked to a lot of people, and do you get any sense of how things are going to go? And are you willing to share that with us, or just just maybe general perceptions you've had during this process? Is it more intense, less intense than the fall election, or any others that you might have experienced here or anywhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's intense in its own way. A lot of the things that I've heard is, the two mayoral candidates are both longtime locals. They've been here a long time. They both have good ideas. I imagine that'll be a pretty close race. That's my prediction for that. And then with council, there's 6 candidates. There's 2 incumbents, and 4 newcomers who seem to be, getting into the community and talking with people. So I think it's kind of up in the air. I don't know. But I think everyone's got a lot of good people to choose from, at least is what I've been hearing in my reporting, so.
So we as citizens a lot of times feel like the political intensity in this town is over the top. What's your impression? Is it the same everywhere, or is this a different kind of place to be a reporter and chase down stories and their impact on the community in general? Is that more intense?
It's definitely felt intense. This is honestly the first place that I've reported full-time since I graduated college. So, as a community, I think as such a small community, there's so many people who are so involved and know so much of the history. Sometimes, you feel like the journalist in the room should know most of what's going on, but when I'm in the room, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's all these people who have been here for decades who know so much more than me about what's going on because everyone's so invested. They're at city council meetings, they're making public comments, so.
I would argue, though, that is the upper hand in terms of being an objective journalist.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That I'm new.
Where did you move here from?
I'm from Denver, went to school in Kansas, Rock Chalk, and now I'm here.
Oh, that's, at KU you went to school?
Yes.
That's one of the finest journalistic schools in the country.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You should probably go there sometime. What's your kind of takeaway from this election? Just, do you have any kind of like things you'd like to share, like personally, emotionally, that you don't get to express in your articles?
Well, I think something that's really cool is Aspen is getting its first female mayor since 2007. There's only been, I believe, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reported that a while ago, but yeah, I think that's really exciting. And Aspen is the only council right now in the valley that doesn't have any women at the table. Snowmass just elected a supermajority of women on their council in the fall. There's 4-1. There's a number of women on Basalt and Glenwood and Carbondale, and Aspen's the only one with 5 men at the table. So I think no matter what happens at the council race, there will be a woman leading the council. So that's exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot of woman power going on, and there's been that kind of thought where, like, in terms of Aspen politics on the council, there's been too much kind of like dick in the soup, too many men at the table. And I think this is a good kind of shift towards that
I
with the
agree.
female mayor and the female, hopefully, on the Aspen council. And I gotta say, the landscape here in journalism in Aspen is female rich as well. Josie Taurus, Lucy Peterson.
Yep.
Yeah, so, and I just got a huge fan of your work.
Thank you.
I'm really happy you came in to talk to us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited I got in before the votes come out. I think that's coming
Yeah.
soon.
Have the
So-
votes come out?
Not yet, unless
She
that's
would
why
not be
everyone left
sitting
the
here,
room
I'm
and I'm
sure,
still
if
sitting
they
here.
were. But
Yeah.
are you feeling some adrenaline surge, like you got to get out there and find out right away and get the stories written and
A little,
make the
yeah.
front page tomorrow morning? That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we've got deadlines to meet, so
Yeah,
gotta type fast.
It's going to be a long night?
Hopefully not too long.
Yeah.
November was pretty long, but there's only a couple races to follow
Yeah.
tonight, so, and less ballots to count,
Yeah.
so.
It's been kind of intense having the election during season, I felt.
Yeah,
It feels
and
kind of like another event.
It's a little
It's
weird.
kind of like X Games,
There's a lot
inter-school elections. It
lot
feels
going
like kind
on
of
in
like a
town this time of
continuation of another kind of event. And
Yeah.
I'm actually starting to kind of like appreciate the election in the off-season.
Yeah, I
now.
think Mick wrote a nice piece about that, how November is really the best time to have it.
And
even though-
ironically, wasn't he, or incidentally, he was like a big proponent the elections need to be when more people are here.
Yeah, I think
So-
he said as much, and he changed his mind because
And,
he's, yeah.
didn't Skippy Meisro, wasn't he the, Mesereau,
Yeah,
wasn't he the
yeah, it
one
was
who was like
Skippy.
a big proponent of changing the election time?
Yeah, and I mean, that's a conversation that's happening again. In
Mm-hmm.
the fall, City Clerk Nicole Henning sent, white paper on potentially changing election dates, from March to November. There's a lot of reasoning he gave, and,
Well, the financial one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the pairing up with the county
Yeah.
was a very cogent argument, I felt.
And,
I'm
you know,
still wearing this
speaking
hat.
with council candidates, you know, I asked them that question during the race. Have you found it hard that you're campaigning in the dead of winter and people are gone the first 2 weeks because of the holidays? And a lot of them said they would support moving that election to November, but, you know, who's to say? That's still a long conversation to be had.
It feels to me like there will be a shift after this back to the
It
kind of
seems like it seems
November.
pretty logical to do that, and we talked to John Doyle a little bit before, and he mentioned some of the things you did about the difficulty of campaigning this time of year, so,
Yeah. Seems tough. It's cold out there.
yeah.
Knocking on doors.
Lucy, thank you for coming in, and it's
Yeah,
really
thanks for
good to see
having
you. And,
Keep up the great work.
yeah,
We're-
keep
we're
up the
big
great work. We
fans.
look forward to reading your scoop on the cover of the Aspen Daily News tomorrow morning.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to shoot straight to Mike Maple, our next interview.
We're not gonna have a commercial break?
Oh, we
No, hop right in.
Okay, great, thanks.
Mike Maple.
We just got the word results in less than a half an hour.
Yeah, let's just roll. Let's keep this thing rolling. Let's go right to,
So what are the commercial breaks?
Marlboro cigarettes, Jack Daniel's whiskey, and, I don't know.
Kawasaki motorcycles.
I was gonna ask you, you know, I thought it might be time to take your nice hat off.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, we've got Mike Maple here teed up for some questions. He's a big supporter of referendum 2, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And you've also worked with Dwayne Romero for,
Well,
really?
yeah,
Sorta?
I don't know if I'd go with that.
okay,
far.
all right.
I lived on the same street as.
Nobody would admit that, even if it was true.
And word on the street is you came up with the slogan, Merolt's for Merolt?
I can't take response.
Is that the ad
Well,
campaign
yeah,
that you were involved in?
yeah.
Yeah, I saw the ads in the Aspen Daily News, Merolt's for
Merolt's for Merolt.
Merolt. Wow.
Yeah.
Very clever.
You better take credit for it, Mike, I don't know.
So, Mike, I saw you out there holding signs on the S-curves,
Yeah, that was the first.
and I gotta say, your involvement in the Pro 2 speaks to what we were talking about at the very beginning of the show with unlikely alliances.
Yeah,
Politically.
we should have introduced Mike, and I meant to say
too
this
late.
when you said
It's
it, I
not
know,
too
so
late.
I'm gonna say it now. You don't often get publicly involved in elections and things like this. You don't do it every election. You're not what I would call one of these people who are just hyper involved with elections. But when you do latch onto an issue, you go for it. Is that a fair?
Yeah, I think that's
assumption?
fair.
Yeah, so,
There's things that I'm passionate about and vocal about, and
yeah,
and I would prefer not to be. But
Yeah,
there
okay.
are certain things that you got to act.
that's fair. And so what was your motivation to get so heavily involved with supporting referendum 2 for the straight shot into Aspen?
Well, we have a lot of interesting challenges and problems in Aspen, most of which we can't do anything about. This particular problem, I think is critical because of the deterioration of the bridge, as well as the post-COVID real estate boom, bust, whatever you want to call it, that has driven so many members of our community down valley. So between the fact that the bridge must be repaired or replaced, and it is impossible to repair or replace a bridge while it's being used at the same time without massive pain and delays, and, you know, I wouldn't want to live here. You know, my choice would be, I'd get out of town for 4 years.
Yeah, Yeah, it would be unlivable if they were working on that bridge. Remember when they just filled potholes, and that was for a week?
Yeah.
It felt like an eternity.
Well, when they built the bike path on the bridge, that was
Yeah,
that was probably one of the bigger
yeah. So,
construction projects.
so anyways, here again, Aspen would be, a very unpleasant place to be for 4 years if you try and rebuild the bridge while it's in place.
Agreed, yes.
Secondly, because of the change in real estate prices and the corresponding exodus of our community, our workers, as well as our community to down valley locations, we need to improve public transit. And you can't improve public transit without more lanes, in my opinion, and more elimination of merge points for the buses. So those are the two most important pieces to me. The third piece is certainly for a community of our size to have a two-lane bridge going in and out. I've long been uncomfortable with that.
Well, effectively, in the high seasons, we are a city of 60 to 70,000 people.
Right.
So when you put it in that perspective, I don't think you'd find a city in the country that size that has a one two-lane road in and out of it.
Exactly. And so, so here again, I think that's insanity, and it's insanity. It was insanity when we had, sort of terrorist attacks and New Year's Eve bomb threats and that sort of thing. But, unfortunately, climate change seems to be real. I can see the trees dying on the hillsides. Equally, our foliage in Aspen is heavy, very, very heavy. Certainly compared to what it was in the mining era.
We're Tree City, right?
Tree City, there you go.
Yeah.
My birthplace was Jasper, Alberta, half of which burned to the ground last year.
Yeah.
And that is a community that didn't have one two-lane road going in and out. It had four.
Yeah.
And people still couldn't get out.
Yeah.
So, for all those reasons, I view the fact that it's time.
Yeah.
It's time to have more than a two-lane bridge coming and going into Aspen, and certainly the Gunnison situation with the bridge over Blue.
Down by Gunnison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was a huge wake-up call.
Yeah.
That we can't manage our community, our place, our home with 2 lanes in and 2 lanes out and a 65-year-old bridge.
Right. So if referendum 2 should happen to lose tonight, are you out of the conversation, or are you doubling down and coming back at a different angle, maybe with Dwayne and Steve and
Yeah.
With
and
the new
group?
consortium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting question. I think, regardless of whether referendum 2 wins or loses, we still.
It looks like something's happening here.
Looks like something's happening here.
Everybody's back in the room.
Yeah, stand on your head for the
Okay.
results. Oh, wait.
Sounds like I had it cut out.
Well, you can keep talking. Oh, no, we
I
don't.
should
Let's
keep
see.
talking? Yeah, no.
Oh, we have some results.
You are watching Grassroots Aspen live election coverage.
Are these
And we have
final?
our first election results, the mayoral vote. Roger Mayoral, would you like to read the mayoral
Well, I'd like to know
vote results?
are these final, or these are final? Okay.
Please, Roger, would you like to read the mayoral results?
For mayor, Rachel Richards, 1,435 votes. Katie Frisch, 1,189. Very close race there.
That means we have a new female mayor.
Which is no
Rachel
surprise. We were going to
Richards.
have one. Okay.
Yeah, good point. But still, I'm just saying,
Yes, yeah.
it's worth noting.
And would you
that
like
Rachel
to
Richards,
go ahead and read the council?
the council, Emily Colby, 1,067 votes. Scott Woolley, 630. Christine Benedetti, 1,018. Tori, 825. Wilkinson Ray, that's Tyler, 307. And John Doyle, 1,091. So that leaves
Colby and Doyle, I believe.
Benedetti,
No.
Doyle.
Oh, going to runoff,
So we
okay.
have a runoff situation for council, a four-way runoff, thank you, with Emily Colby, Christine Benedetti, Tori, and John Doyle.
Okay.
I actually spoke with a media magnate prior to the election who was alluding to this very four-way runoff.
Yeah,
With
yep.
the,
So
congratulations.
not a big surprise there.
Not
That's-
a big surprise, nonetheless, congratulations. Let's go to referendum one.
Referendum one, this is the, keep the old bridge in the S-curves, just to oversimplify it. That is, 952 yes and 1,652 no. So referendum one goes down. Referendum two, the yes vote was 1,369, and the no votes were 1,276. So that's a very close race, but it looks like referendum two passes.
So referendum one fails.
Referendum one fails, referendum two
succeeds. Nicole Henning just wheeled these results in. Would you like to come take a quick seat here at the table and just, okay, she's going to pass on that?
She's tired, she's had a big day.
There's a figure on the bottom that says threshold 1123. What exactly does that refer to?
That's the threshold that the council members needed to meet, and those four did not meet that threshold.
Okay,
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
Nicole.
okay.
Wow, this is exciting, Roger. Can
This
you
is
believe this?
exciting,
We're
yeah.
witnessing this live. We have Rachel Richards, one mayor. We have a four-way runoff for the council. Referendum one failed, referendum two passed.
Yeah,
So
so
there you have it, on election night, on a Fat Tuesday in Aspen. Incredible.
we have Mayor Richards here. Maybe Mike would cede the seat.
Yeah, Rachel, would you like to have a seat? Have a seat right here?
Stay in the seat.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
please,
you can sit
please
next to Mike.
have a seat there.
No, let's have two. Mike was a spokesperson for referendum two, which passed, and so let's keep you both there. And, well, Rachel, that's a tight race, and congratulations. It was a battle, I know that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts right now?
Are you kind of in shock right now, like I am?
I don't know which one to speak in.
Both.
Either one, they'll both pick you up.
Yeah, I'm in shock, and I'm in great gratitude to this community for the faith they've put in me and moving things forward as the community should move forward. And I realize we've dealt with some divisive issues, and it'll be time to come together and everyone to work together for the best outcomes we can achieve for our town. I think it perhaps shows experience and results I've been able to produce in the past. And I will say congratulations to Katie for running a really fierce race, and it was very formidable. But I want to thank all the community members who've put their trust in me, and I take that responsibility very seriously.
Well, I want to congratulate Katie as well. I thought we had two fantastic candidates for mayor, so we couldn't lose.
That's right.
And
That's right.
it's unfortunate that one of them, we couldn't have dual mayorship, but congratulations to you, and you have served this community well for many, many years, and you're probably the hardest working politician I know, so
Well, thank you, Roger.
congratulations.
I think that a race like this brings a lot of good ideas forward, and Katie brought a lot of good ideas forward for us to try to incorporate and work together.
Katie, would you like to come
So-
take a seat here?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, please.
Why not?
Yeah. Grassroots TV
Thank you, Katie.
at its
Yeah.
finest.
Oh, yeah.
If you're at
Wait,
home,
did you run too?
No, he's on Ref too,
Yeah, I
so.
didn't even see these yet.
if you're at home watching live, you're watching Grassroots election night coverage. We have Rachel Richards, the new Aspen mayor. We have Katie Frisch, who came in second place.
Sorry for looking that way,
No,
everyone.
no,
I haven't-
please.
I just walked in.
And this is really,
That's far more interesting than we are. So
I know what you guys look like. I don't know what the numbers are.
and I got to say, this is really an honor to have both of you here. And congratulations to Rachel and Katie. Thank you for running and really just being a part of the community dialogue and really trying to make a difference. And so thank you.
That's recognizing how difficult it is to actually do this. I don't think most people will ever understand what it's like to go through a campaign.
Yeah, it's been a grind for a very short amount of
I
time.
was
Yeah.
gonna say, are you as exhausted as I am at this point?
Yeah, I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, it's got to be intense.
Although now I think I can actually, what I wanted to say to you guys is, I've been hearing all these years, I've been hearing all this bickering between them about who's a better skier. I'd actually like to put myself out there and challenge you guys to participate in that, because
Okay.
now I'll have the time.
Yeah, all right, let's do
That's a
that.
good one, that's a good
Although I don't want Mike to show up, because I know that he's a better skier
No, I
than
would just
am.
say, Katie, you're definitely a much better skier than Roger.
Okay, good.
You don't need to worry about that any
That's
longer.
good to know.
I'd be
Yeah.
honored to ski with
So
you,
just
so
let that go.
that'd be wonderful.
But I really liked, I got to say, in your campaign, you offered a ski day of gondola rides.
I did.
And what were those conversations like in the gondola?
Well, look, we've all spent a lot of time, well, hopefully, all of us have spent a lot of time in the bucket, and you never know what the conversation's going to be.
And they get weird quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Is what I've noticed.
Yeah, it's true. But look, I love Aspen Mountain, and being able to have that as an excuse to have office hours, I mean, what could be better than that?
Yeah, that's a great office.
Yeah, yeah. And I did get Aspen Skiing Company permission first. I just want to point that out.
And as long as we have Mike sitting there, the referendum you supported passed, so care to share any feelings about that?
Well,
It's pretty close.
yeah, it's pretty close, yeah, and I'm not particularly surprised.
Did you think it would be that close?
Well, I thought it would be one of two things, close or a landslide.
Yeah,
And it looks like it was one of those two things.
yeah. Well, if it's less than 100 votes,
yeah.
so you feel good about standing out there with a sign on the corner.
There you go.
Yeah, that could have made a difference.
And it goes to show you that in Aspen and indeed everywhere, your vote counts, but, more so in Aspen.
It does.
And, but, I also want to say, looking at this board, that,
Yeah.
this was my first time in the trenches in an election, and it was a interesting and challenging and stressful experience. But we should be really proud of ourselves as a community that we had whatever that is, 6 city council candidates for 2 spots, and we had 2 very, very well qualified candidates for mayor. I also do business in Glenwood Springs, and I probably ought to be paying more attention to it than I do, but, I believe a number of their seats are uncontested.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's a both painful, but also a great honor that we have so much passion in our community.
That's an excellent point that you raised, Mike. I was just thinking about that last night, about wow, we're having this election in Aspen, but I know so little about the council seats in Glenwood.
Yeah.
And how does that affect me? Does it? Yes, no.
Yeah.
But then to have you bring that up
Yeah.
was affirming. So thank you for
And,
sharing that.
and regarding referendum 2, I totally get why there's passion on both sides. I get it. I completely get it. My passion is, just happens to be for a solution as opposed to a roadblock.
Yeah.
And, so that's, and, but this is just the beginning. It is a fresh beginning, and I got to admit, I was a little bit surprised to realize that this was actually, despite the fact that there've been something like 27 elections about the entrance to Aspen, this is the first one, I believe, since 2001. And I think that was a mistake. And so referendum 1 really brought referendum 2 to the table. But before either one of those 2 items came to the table, it was, in my opinion, a lack of leadership and guidance from our community to get us to have waited 24 years before we brought something new to the table. So here again, I didn't support referendum 1 from the get-go. but it turned out to be a good thing for our community that it lit a fire under this issue that needed to be solved. And I think it's fair to say it became, biased position, but it became the #1 campaign.
Well, it also had almost $250,000 spent on it too, which I think is a real shame.
Well, yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Real shame.
The campaign funding in town it seems like it's going to a new level.
Yeah.
And I'm a little uneasy about that.
disconcerting.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
And
think,
special interest too. It wasn't small dollar donors.
No.
It was a couple of big donors.
No, there were big donations in there,
and
yeah.
it can't go unnoted, though, that there had been a 2-year public influence campaign by the Fix the Bridge Committee and the proponents of the 3-lane bridge, but because there was no ballot question, we don't know how much was spent with a paid PR person, web pages, buttons, bumper stickers, and organization, full newspaper ads. So I believe the Ref 2 committee was looking forward to that same sort of issue contention and the public influence campaign to both sway City Council to not even put the issue on the ballot in November was weighing quite heavily on everyone.
Well, speaking of the specific ad campaign, the Referendum 1 campaign, I found very disgusting with the slogan, "Keep your veil out of my Aspen." I thought, what if someone was here from Vail with their kid competing, and they opened the paper and they saw, "Keep your veil out of my Aspen"? I thought, wow, that would have really cemented every asshole Aspen stereotype that has ever existed, and that really bothered me.
There was
Then-
the hell
then
no
the other,
as well.
then
That was
the-
very insulting.
Then the next ad campaign that I saw from the Referendum 1 was straight shot, same SHIT.
yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, the dictionary is filled with fascinating words that are evocative and descriptive. And there's a place for swearing. Right there at the J Bar. Right
That's a
there at
good
the
point.
Zane's, right on the gondola. There's a time and a place. But that to me was really, I had a problem with that.
Yeah. No, I just had a problem
Really
with the
did.
number of mailers that I got on referendum
I
too.
had a
Oh my
problem with
goodness.
that. And I don't know who was behind that, but
Yeah.
explain that to me, whoever you are, what you're, or don't.
You know, to get to another subject, I think we both have great husbands to thank for support in our efforts going forward with this.
Well, that's-
And
yeah,
knowing that
you can't do it
find
alone,
a
right?
man who'll stick with you, a strong
Yeah.
political woman, you got to hold on to him.
Adam Frisch, I gotta say, was, sorry to,
No, go ahead.
Adam Frisch was really, to me, like a white horse coming out of Aspen to defeat
Bober.
the
Chased her out of
Republican.
town. It was
And-
great.
Chased her into a new district, right?
Yeah.
That was good.
So Adam, I think, really deserves a round of applause for his efforts. And
So we're getting a call here, sorry to interrupt, but they'd like us to recap the results for the people who are tuning in late, probably listening to Donald Trump.
No, this is way more important
we
than
don't-
whatever he has
I've
to
got
say.
some friends waiting for me over at,
Okay, well, thank you. You deserve to go out and celebrate. And
Congratulations,
congratulations. And I would just like to, I would like to close by saying Aspen's the kind of place where we fight bitterly over these things. And tomorrow morning, there will be no election hangover, I predict. And
Well, wait a minute now.
Well-
Come on. I'm going back to Brunelleschi's.
this is a call to remove all yard signs.
You've earned that. So
yard
not,
sign removal begins very soon.
but I think we'll be
After the
the
hangover.
same community we were before as we
right.
will be tomorrow.
And if
So-
I could just add, because thanking my husband, that's great. Thank you, Adam. But I also want to thank my kids, Felix and Quintessa, who are also very much part of this.
It's
as well.
hard on kids.
And
I was a kid of a politician.
Well,
local
and
politician.
they participated
Yeah.
as well. So, as well as all friends, supporters, donors, everything. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Katie.
I agree. I'd
Really
like to thank my supporters and people who've helped me out, volunteers,
And Katie,
very much.
really gracious of you to come on.
Of course.
And share this time on live TV. in the moment of the election results really.
So Friday noon at the Bucket, is that the plan?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Oh,
So,
God, I
thank
need
you
to be
very much.
warm.
So we're watching live grassroots election night coverage, the mayoral results, Rachel Richards.
Rachel Richards is our new mayor.
For council, we have a four-way runoff
Yes.
with Emily Colby, Christine Benedetti, our Aspen Daily News boss's wife.
Yes.
So go, Christine.
Yep. And
We want to raise.
and we've got
Tori?
Tori and John Doyle.
And John Doyle. Tori is an interesting story.
Yeah, let's finish the other results quickly.
Go for
Referendum 1 is defeated, and referendum 2 passes. So,
Referendum 1 defeated by nearly 500 votes. Referendum 2, just under 100.
yeah, very, very close, very, very
So
close.
that's, I think, kind of like the microcosm of Aspen, election result-wise closeness, is a reflection of the macrocosm nationally. Would you?
Well, I think we're different here, and that's what I was alluding to when we were talking to Rachel and Katie and Mike. I think, after the national election, we're still, I feel like, under a national hangover from the results of that, and then that was fairly close. And I don't predict that we will feel the same way tomorrow in Aspen. I think we'll come together, we'll accept the results, and we'll move on. What have we got on our prompt here? 15 minutes left. Do we have anybody else who'd like to talk? How about Ward?
I think after the election results, people really scattered out of the
They're
chambers.
going to go celebrate or drown their sorrows.
They kind of had seen enough at that point,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to take the hot seat, Ward? Now that you're retired, sit down. Ward, we're going to miss you.
I'm going to miss you guys, although I never relate to you other than emails.
Yeah,
So-
I would like to say for a new councilman position, a new platform would be to entirely eliminate the reply all email from any Aspen email dialogue.
Well,
could you get behind that, Ward?
Absolutely, I think that it should be in, the Exchange server should not allow it.
So
it would save some Quora requests.
Good, okay.
So you've been through a few of these nights in your career as a politician.
I'm not a politician, I'm an elected official.
You're an elected official. But you've been through campaigns, you've been through a night like this a couple of times, and tonight you got to watch it. You got to watch the whole election season from the outside without any pressure, without, having to worry about the next day, the next funding, the next idea that you're going to float. How did that feel?
Not being on the ballot was a wonderful thing. After 8 years, I'm ready to take some time off. My reading list just expanded. I don't have 1,000 pages of packets to read. I was involved with Ref 2. I thought that was important for the future of Aspen. One of my favorite Jefferson quotes, you guys have known me for a long time, I'm a quote guy, and Jefferson is one of my favorite sources. People get the government they deserve.
I've heard Steve Scadron say that similar take on that. Conceptually, that's a very powerful statement.
It is. And
It's kind of like it's almost like a I told you so.
No, it's like you asked for it, you get it.
You got what you deserved.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's almost like a shaming kind of like mic drop quote that really has aged like a fine wine over time.
Well, it was Thomas Jefferson, so let's.
Exactly.
Jefferson.
And that is a very, but that quote I think is, thanks you guys, thanks for coming in. Congratulations. And, wow. That is a
Jefferson also-
really powerful quote, though.
Jefferson always thought that laws shouldn't be more than a generation. They should only last a generation.
Yeah. So, so it feels good now is what I'm hearing from you. Do you see standing on the sidelines for a year or two, things change, issues come up that you're really passionate about? Are you going to pull a Tom Brady and come out of retirement and come back and lead this team, or try to lead it to another victory?
You know, I don't know what's going to happen in a couple of years. It depends on what the council looks like, what the direction the county, the city's going, and the county as well. I had a dream last night, this is true, that I was with a bunch of people that all had assignments, and they all had their papers out, and I didn't have anything to do. So that's where I am right now. I'm looking at going down to South Rim and doing some hiking.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
You've earned it.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve the community, and I try to do the best I can. Roger, I don't know. I think we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, you know, I've always been a fan of yours and a friend, and I am grateful for your service to this community in so many ways, not just in politics, but just as always a guy with a smile and something kind to say, positive outlook. I've known that about you since we worked together at Sabatini Sports when it was in the old place.
With Dexter.
No,
That goes
Mark,
back
yeah.
a ways. I think Lowe was on his BMX back then.
Yeah.
Chasing E.T.
Yeah.
And Ward, you fixed my computer one time. and
I
I'm
did.
eternally grateful
It
for
was
that.
before you were a columnist, and I said,
Yeah.
this reminds me of gonzo journalism, and you thought that was a great compliment.
Yeah, huge compliment.
So I guess it's about time to wrap it up. We got 10 minutes.
Let's do a quick recap of the results. You're watching live election results from Grassroots Aspen TV. Your hosts, Lo Semple and Roger Mayoral, Aspen's original odd couple. And the mayor,
What do you think?
way odder. And the mayoral results, Rachel Richards beat Katie Frisch. The city council is a four-way runoff. So we're looking at another election?
Yes,
In
absolutely.
how long, Ward?
That's probably June,
Help us
right?
out.
About a month.
Oh, just a month.
So we're looking at an April?
Top two voters are in.
Okay.
Top two vote gatherers.
So this is interesting that the top
Four-way runoff.
the top two will be in the seats.
The top two make it.
Yeah, the top.
They make the
So
cut.
so if you back up just a second, Ward, I want to point out one thing on the votes. And I can't see the board unless you back up. Here we have we've got Benedetti and Doyle. 1,018 to 1,091. That's close. Well, they're actually the top three are close.
Colby's got more than Benedetti.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. So it's going to be close. It's going to be a tight race, and
It's going to be a tough haul for Tory to make it up. He's got
Has-
a big
ha-
deficit.
You know, talk about Tom Brady. Tory is the Tom Brady
Yeah,
of Aspen politics in terms of the comeback on this.
I can't remember the last runoff we had.
I was in it, I think.
And didn't you come from a deficit to win that?
Did.
Yeah. How big of a deficit? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I edged out Tory by 20-some votes.
Yeah.
2017.
But on the original election night, you were behind.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I remember that. I think Lo and I did that election coverage that
Yeah,
that
you
year.
probably did. You guys.
You can't get rid of us. But so we got 5 minutes, and
Wow, referendum one went down and referendum two passed.
referendum one doesn't surprise me at all because they had two things going for them that were hard to overcome. I think people really truly are tired of any idea or any solution that involves the S-curves. And also, I think people were really put off, even if they could put up with the S-curves. I think the supermajority vote proposed to require any change to open space or parks was too much for voters. I think.
And the open space and parks even came out against that.
Yes, it did.
If I can inject here, what
Please.
has the filibuster ruling in Senate, what has that given us? Nowhere.
Nothing. Yeah, and that's exactly what that is. Yeah. So that one didn't surprise me. Referendum 2, I really didn't know how that would come out, and that proves to be true. That was a very close vote.
That was pretty close.
And I gotta say, I grew up in the West End on 8th Street, and the 8th Street bus stop was my place. I was there 5 days a week, every day, and I really empathize with the people who are living in the villas, in the Burger Cabin. Our family lived in the Burger Cabin for a winter. I don't know how we all fit in there, but I really empathize with I know people who live, I know a lot of people who live right there. And man, if I was living in that employee housing corridor there, I would literally have to put up a 8-foot-high soundproof fence. The air quality on Main Street these days is garbage.
It's garbage all over town in rush
really,
hours.
Really distressing.
Well,
to
Roger,
think-
you wrote a good column on that.
Thank you.
And a couple of days ago, Friday, I think it was out, waving signs at the S-curves. An hour and a half, I had essence of diesel in my nostrils
Oh,
for
man.
about two hours.
Yeah, it's really distressing, the air quality. So the people who are fighting feverishly for referendum 1, oh man, I understand. I think there's a part of me too that thinks both of these referendums were deeply flawed
Well,
on
they,
some level.
they all are, but let's just go back to the election just for one more thing. We got to do a shout out to our local political election savant, Mick Ireland. He predicted a few weeks ago that this election would be decided by 2,500 votes. And look at the results. He was, what do we have, 2,650 votes?
Yeah, that's the total Aspen, thank you.
That's pretty close. I mean, he called that pretty well. And we talked about it earlier. This bridge, this entrance to Aspen affects 50,000 people, all of our tourists and the people who live in Aspen, and it was decided by roughly 2,600 votes.
Yeah, and that's not.
That's a funny thing that, and it describes our valley. Our valley really is one community, and I don't know what the future holds for that, but it seems like the people who use the bridge and who serve us should have a little bit more say in that. And I think CDOT has given the nod to that.
Yeah, if the EIS is open, that whole process, we'll listen to the valley. And I don't know which one of you guys said this, but I was kind of on the sidelines, but the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And I hope that Jefferson's idea that you get the government that you deserve, that the people will let the people decide, and that we don't go through an endless cycle of lawsuits trying to win our beliefs through the courts, that people will trust in the electoral process.
I trust in the people of Aspen and the people of Pickens County in other elections. So I think we're going to be good.
Yeah, I trust them with the exception of you, but let's just really thank our sponsor, John Ward, A&B Bank.
Put this whole thing together.
Yeah, paid me handsomely for this, and
the crew here.
The crew here, yeah, yeah. I'd like to thank all our interviewees that came on.
They were great. We had a good turnout.
Yeah, I think this.
They saved us.
Dropped your beer cans there. Yeah, wow, what a show.
Yeah, it was
Thanks,
great.
Roger.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, really good to see you. Let's do it again sometime.
We will, next election.
A month from now.
A month from now.
Yeah, we'll see you in, see you in a month.
We're out.
Okay, thank you, Aspen. It's been a fun time.